day.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Hopefully we'll have a dry hump day.
It's not real...
Hello and welcome to Newsballs, the chafe-defying dry hump on the leg of current affairs. This week, MI5 boss calls for new social media snooping powers. The spy game's just not what it used to be.
Bond. James Bond.
It's all online nowadays. Bond's gone a bit... Jeremy Corbyn. He's about substance over style. We can tell that here because he's dressed like a semi-retired librarian appearing at a small claims court to complain about his neighbours obtruding leylandii. 10 serious presidential candidates and Donald Trump play a Republican leader weakest link special.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Burkina Faso... no, that's not... Burkina Faso... Burkina Faso... Oh, it. Burkina Faso... military coup. School child arrested in shocking case of racial profiling. There's an underlying and disturbing trend that's going largely unnoticed that we have to address. Landscape. Can nobody film in f***ing landscape? And let him who is without sin cast the first stone, and thou shalt be shot in the face. It's rock, paper, sniper rifle in Jerusalem.
The internet and the way terrorists use social media, including from Syria, and the way we all live our lives using the smartphones in our pockets, the terrorists do the same, and they're using secure apps and internet communication to try to broadcast their message and to incite and direct terrorism amongst people who live here who are prepared to listen to their message.
This is MI5 boss Andrew Parker making the case for updated surveillance laws given the advancement in technology. The current laws date back to the year 2000, so MI5 are effectively trying to spy on terrorist communications with dial-up internet and Nokia 3210s.
What is it we need to be able to do these days? Because of that threat we face and the way the terrorists operate, and the way we all live our lives today, it's necessary that if we're to find and stop the people who mean us harm, MI5 and others need to be able to navigate the internet to find terrorist communication.
Oh, but what about my privacy? Sorry, but that bus left a long time ago. If terrorists are anything like us, we're not exactly going to have to be Alan f***ing Turing to figure out what they're up to.
I think if you're asking what I would like out of it, I think the really important thing for MI5 is, as people understand, we operate within a framework of law set by Parliament and independently overseen. And as our capabilities move forward, I think it's important that from time to time legislation is updated.
Legislation that Parliament wants to push through in October in the form of a new Snoopers Charter. This will require technology companies to hold massive amounts of data that it has to make available to the government. Technology companies that MI5 boss Parker here says have an ethical responsibility. Ethical companies like Google, for example, who ethically avoid paying taxes. These companies are naturally wary given the loss of consumer confidence over privacy when blabbermouth Edward Snowden revealed just how balls deep the NSA is in your spam box. Oh, and another thing, MI5 claim that due to outdated surveillance legislation, they can no longer legally obtain the information they need to fight terrorism. Presumably this hasn't occurred overnight, so what underhand tactics have they been employing to obtain data?
It's the graveyard of many political careers, the bear pit of the British Parliament, where the leader of the day squares up to his opposition member for a series of questions posed to score political points. But new Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn had a different approach.
It has been an interesting first week for new Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. Be warned, he may be on the Steve Brookstein career trajectory, however, which is a lifetime of obscurity, punctuated by a sudden and unexpected moment of limelight, quickly followed by everlasting obscurity. With his party in turmoil after the kind of election defeat that even Robert Mugabe's opponents would be embarrassed by, Corbyn could be Labour's Ian Duncan Smith, the hapless backbencher sent out to distract the media and the electorate whilst the party machine desperately scrabbles around in the back trying to assemble a new leader out of bits of old Blair.
I've taken part in many events around the country and had conversations with many people about what they thought about this place, our parliament, our democracy, and our conduct within this place. And many told me that they thought Prime Minister's Question Time was too theatrical, that Parliament was out of touch and too theatrical, and they wanted things done differently, but above all, they wanted their voice heard in Parliament.
So here is a man of the people, giving the people what they want: honesty and engaging politics, freed from spin doctoring and schmoozy media-managed shallow populist windbaggery. And how do the people respond? By mocking his speaking style. I even took the piss out of his appearance in the intro to this show. Why? Because we're hypocritical cunts. Nobody wants a man of the people. We just like someone who looks like they know what they're doing, so we can go back to downloading Vajazzles or tweeting a sex robot.
Jeremy Corbyn's first appearance squaring off against the Prime Minister at PMQs was perhaps more of a thoughtful and measured affair.
Thoughtful and measured are not really sexy adjectives that the media are looking for to sell papers. Everybody's so conditioned to place style over substance, they're actually calling for a spin doctor to make these people look better. I don't care about policies. Look at them. They look like uninspiring school career advisors. So what would you like to do when you leave school? I want to be an astronaut. Oh, good. Have you thought about insurance telesales? I think this says a lot more about us than it does the politicians.
How dare you blame me for this, which is the result of a political class which has given up on morality and simply pursues popularity at all costs.
When Corbyn failed to sing the national anthem at the Battle of Britain Memorial Service, the media went for him as if he'd goose-stepped to his pew whilst draped in an ISIS flag. He probably didn't sing the national anthem because it's total bollocks. Just because you won't tug your forelocks and plead to a man in the sky to save a rich old woman that's better than you because her ancestors told her she was, is not a call to jihad.
In fact, not only are we the A-team, we even have our own Mr. T, who doesn't mind saying about others, you're a fool.
I think you're going to see a big impact on autism.
Dr. Carson, you just heard his medical take.
Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
This was a debate for potential Republican Party leaders. Well, I say debate. It was the kind of debate where one person talks and everyone else just points and laughs.
The best way for us to give this election back would be to nominate a Donald Trump. He'll either implode in the general election, or if God forbid, if he were in the White House, we have no idea what he would do. You can't just attack him on policy. He doesn't care about policy.
I think that really goes to the judgment. Do we want someone with that kind of character, that kind of careless language, to be negotiating with Putin?
Я высоко ценю ваш вклад в мировую музыкальную культуру и борьбу за права человека.
We have stupid leadership. How stupid.
Never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there.
What's next? Your mum jokes and personal appearance? Really? From the man whose hair goes in more directions than a morning piss.
Donald Trump said the following about you, quote, "Look at that face. Would anyone vote for that? Can you imagine that, the face of our next president?"
There's no place in politics for cheap ad hominem remarks, even if you do look like the after picture.
I'm spending all of my money.
Oh well, he's not going to be the last person to spend millions of dollars of their own money just to look like a massive tit.
Yeah, it is officially a coup.
Are you sure? They look pretty surprised. Hang on, I've seen that look before.
Editor at the technology website News Wireless.
If you're wondering why this story's been bumped down the news order for like this...
It's no longer a secret. Facebook is working to create a dislike button.
It's for two reasons. One, people aren't that asked about what happens in Africa. Some people are in a general Live Aid, save the children kind of way, but not in the details. The second reason is African coups are about as common as winning the Nigerian lottery. It's practically a weekly basis. This is Burkina Faso's 6th successful coup since 1980.
This coup from the presidential guards, crowds, as you said, have started to gather all around the city since yesterday, and there are more protests planned for today.
It all sounds a bit chaotic. Here's the situation. If it sounds ridiculous, that's because it is. A new president was due to be elected next month to replace outgoing leader Blaise Compaoré, who got the boot in a popular uprising last year. He had installed a presidential guard. These are elite soldiers that are not strictly part of the wider military. They enjoy special power and privileges. Now, this guard are not happy that a law was passed that bars anyone from standing in the presidential elections who took part in Compaoré's bid to extend his presidential time in office, a bid that ultimately led to the uprising. Still following? Good, because it starts to get a little bit EastEnders. Soldiers from this presidential guard are concerned that a new president would mean curtains for them and their special powers. They were originally installed to protect Compaoré when he rose to power through a coup himself in 1987, killing his close ally and predecessor, Thomas Sankara. They detained interim President Michel Kafando, who has now been released. However, Prime Minister Isaac Zida remains under house arrest. The US and France, Burkina Faso's former colonial rulers, have condemned the coup. The African Union has suspended Burkina Faso and threatened sanctions unless all of the political detainees are released. And bizarrely, the coup took place on the same day a judge was about to publish the DNA results from the remains of former President Sankara due to the mysterious circumstances of his death. Now get out of my pub.
Teenage Muslim Ahmed Mohammed from Texas has been invited to the White House by Barack Obama after he was detained by police for taking a homemade clock to school.
A clock? Why? I didn't know carrying a clock was a crime, or else Flavor Flav would be in Guantanamo Bay. I mean, I've heard of anti-intellectualism, but that's a bit extreme. We don't need no clocks. Jesus tells us what time it is.
The teachers thought was a bomb.
That's embarrassing.
Mr. Obama said in a tweet, "Cool clock, Ahmed. Want to bring it to the White House. We should inspire more kids like you to like science. It's what makes America great."
Not true. The moon landings have got nothing on chocolate chip pancake sausages on a stick and Charlie Sheen. That's what makes America great.
The 14-year-old was led away in handcuffs from his school in North Texas on Monday after bringing the clock to his engineering class. He said his teacher had congratulated him but advised him not to show any other teachers. Ahmed's arrest has been sharply criticised. He's since had an outpouring of support on social media under the hashtag #IStandWithAhmed.
If the poor student has been singled out purely by racial profiling, then that is quite shameful. And thanks to all the internet crusaders with the hashtag #IStandWithAhmed, you're fighting the good fight as always.
Also in support of Ahmed, Steve Wozniak, the man who designed the first 2 Apple computers, has told of the time he built an electronic metronome and was accused of making a bomb. He says he then spent a night in a juvenile prison.
Can't be true. I just checked the internet. He's not brown enough. Good luck to young Ahmed making the best of a bad situation. Because being mistaken for a terrorist doesn't always end up in trips to the White House.
A live sniper fire can now be used against stone throwers in Jerusalem. This came after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared a war on rock-throwing protesters in Palestine.
No, you didn't mishear that.
Elsewhere, live sniper fire can now be used against stone throwers in Jerusalem.
Live sniper rifle fire for stone throwers. If everyone used force as disproportionately as that, anyone that used the last tea bag at work would have their house burned down, and any kid that didn't tidy their room would be waterboarded.
Well, it's the first time Jerusalem police have been allowed to use lethal weapons against Palestinian protesters. The new rules will also allow the arrest of children under the age of 10 if they throw rocks.
Arresting infants under the age of 10. Israel already draws criticism from many human rights groups for arresting children, failing to inform their parents as to their whereabouts, and threatening them into signing confessions. That pretty much says it all. That's the kind of face you'd make if your friend punched a guy in a wheelchair because he was chatting up his girlfriend. Yeah, I know he was chatting up your girlfriend, but for f***'s sake, come on. Goodbye from Newsballs, and remember...
I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5.